my first book was Feminist Hollywood, and it looked at women directors who started off in the independent, film realm, and then decided to kind of make more commercial movies or cross over into Hollywood. And I really wanted to look at that kind of topic because I wanted to see whether women who considered themselves first experimental filmmakers and then kind of wanted to make that jump into more kind of Hollywood filmmaking, whether they had to make trade-offs, whether they seemed to make compromises, um, or whether they were able to say bring like the codes and the conventions and their own values, their kind of their own principles to into, the commercial filmmaking realm. And I kind of took a few different perspectives or like methods in that because I analyzed, right, the films. I kind of looked at the films and compared their experimental work and their more mainstream work. And I also looked at the industry and whether the industry context allowed them, like whether the structures were there to enable them and facilitate them to like have freedom. Maybe they had as much freedom in Hollywood as they had in the in the independent world. Like it seemed like actually in the 1990s there was a lot that was allowing them to make these fluid changes. And the other thing I did is I just simply interviewed the women directors because what I was finding is that there'd been a lot of limitations felt by, say, film theorists that said, oh no, like theory is over here, and then like we're the real world is over here. But don't you better not talk to those filmmakers because that might actually like interfere with your theory. There was some kind of strange thing of like, well, we don't know how to do that. Like, how would you incorporate the interviews? And so I figured out a way to do it, to do it. And I found that what the women had to say about their own experiences was in fact really important. Like we should really be factoring in their own perspectives and that they could obviously speak for themselves and that, they had incredible insights that otherwise would have been missing from like, you know, um, from essentially like the big picture. And they could tell you why they had made certain choices or, what they had compromised or what they had lost or what had happened in a board meeting. And so to me, I thought, wow, this is really important at a very important time, by the way, because at that moment in the 1980s and 1990s, um, it's almost as though the world of independent film and quote unquote Hollywood or the studio system they were really in some ways becoming much more fluid and merging, because the Sundance Film Festival was becoming a site of basically a site where films were being purchased and where kind of a just in terms of marketing and kind of the way in which films were being picked up, you didn't really have as much of a division between say independent and commercial anymore anyway.